and welcome to Georgia Living Podcast. I'm Céline.
And I'm Chris.
Evans. All right, episode 24.
Woo!
It is April 1st.
April Fools.
Yes, April 1st. And, yeah, the dad jokes this morning.
Oh, the dad jokes
great.
for April Fools. They are everywhere. We dropped off the kids at school this morning, as we do every morning, because we like to spend that last few minutes all together, crammed into a car screaming.
This is singing the Rattling Bog.
Yeah, and Rawhide, apparently. Those two are on repeat now with the kids. But so we dropped off the kids, and all of the dads at the elementary school are out there saying, hey, congrats, you made it to school on time. Here's a brownie. And they're handing them a piece of paper with a brown letter E. In me is proud of our community for getting together and rallying behind that one. So, well done, Shallowford Falls Elementary.
For those of you confused out there, it's literally a brown E.
Yes, the letter E, just on a little square piece of paper that's cut out to be about the size of a baseball card. Brown E.
Good one.
Well
Good
done,
one.
Shallowford Falls.
So we've had some birthdays in our family.
We have. First off, let's say the newest one to our company. One of our agents, her daughter just had a baby yesterday.
Congratulations.
So huge congratulations, Terry. And then Scarlett also had a birthday yesterday. Mm-hmm. So we've got some birthday date sharing buddies there. Also, Friday was your father's birthday, Victor, who was the founder of Sellect Realty.
77 years old.
77 years old. So
good job.
Lots of birthday celebrations. We've done we did things a little differently this year. So for your dad, he wanted Antico. Antico is it's a brick-fired Italian style pizza.
Antico Pizza, Antico. I think there are
so
two
good.
Locations now, right? Maybe three.
There's more now.
More now?
So we have location number 2 close to us at the Battery.
Sure.
Location
Smyrna,
number 1.
Well, technically Atlanta, but Smyrna, Atlanta border.
Yeah, it's Cobb
Cumberland.
County, Atlanta.
Yeah.
So right there at the Battery, Antico Pizza, you can go in, you sit, it's an open kitchen concept, so you can watch the pies being made. It's very Italian, very natural ingredients, so delicious. We had one that was mushroom and like mozzarella and like white sauce. Then there was another one that was like more traditional, but it was sweet peppers and what else? And sausage, sweet peppers and sausage.
Didn't they name it like Sophia Loren or something?
Yeah, I think it was called like the Sophia, which was Sophia Loren's pie or named after her. So very good food. The original location, however, is in Atlanta. And right next to it, I hope it's still there. We haven't been to the original in years, but the original has a gelato shop right next to it. So you can go and get some really, really high quality pizza and then just on a nice spring day, sit outside and have a fresh gelato. It's hard to beat. So for Victor's birthday, that was his request. So we had gelato.
You know what I like about Antico?
Antico, not gelato. Yeah.
We didn't have gelato.
We didn't have gelato.
No, what I like about Antico is that they use that 00 flour to make the crust. And it's just so perfectly chewy and like doughy that it's not just bread. You know what I'm saying? Like
the dough, the crust is so good. Like the kids left a bunch of it and I just kept snacking on it.
And one other thing I like about Antico though, because it is an open concept, I love taking the kids and then having that outing without paying for an outing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can go, they can watch. It's like the kids get a show because they're super into it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of going back and forth between the tables. But one thing that Antico does is that they will give you extra basil and Parmesan and garlic. So your dad had this white truffle oil, olive oil, and we just kind of mixed all of that together and made a little dipping sauce for the crust. Oh, so good. I haven't had breakfast today. Oh, my.
I can't tell
shame on me. And then Scarlett, for her birthday, she didn't want cake this year.
No, because I think you got me cookies from Crumble.
I
did. She saw that and she's like, oh, I want to be like Mama.
So we did crumble cookie, and wow. Just wow. They have this like strawberry cookie, which has like this fresh cream on top of it. And it's about the size of like 2 cupcakes put together.
It's like a lava cake.
It is, yeah. And so we put a candle in that, and that was Scarlett's. And then we just cut all these cookies up into like 8 pieces each because they're huge.
Well, they're butter laden and sugary.
So
and
not good for you.
So good.
They're the best tasting, most awful things for you on this planet. But
there are multiple locations of that, but I mean, most notably close to us is going to be at the intersection of Shallowford and Sandy Plains.
Yeah.
Where Mountain View Elementary used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they needed to expand, and this was past 10 years. I mean, they were doing construction.
Around 2015, I think, is when the new Mountain View opened up.
Yeah.
And the old location got redeveloped. So there's a Jim and Nick's over there. There's a Hollywood
I think it was Mountain View because it was really on a mountain. It's kind of mountainous there.
Yeah,
you have to go up a hill,
You can actually see the surrounding area.
They're no longer up on the hill. They are down in the valley.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a little bit down the street, not very far. I think you can even see the location maybe from the previous one, maybe.
Oh yeah. Well, this development, they built this a few years ago. Crumble Cookie came in maybe like 2022 or 21. They've only been there a few years and open, but the cookies are amazing. And to get there, like you can either come up north on Sandy Plains or south. You could they have an entrance right across from the Kroger at that stoplight, or you can come in through the Target.
So I've always thought, okay, off topic, but I don't have this internal north, south, east, west compass.
Really?
No, I don't. I have none of it. And then, the little directional thing that's on the rearview mirror?
Yeah. Tells you what direction you're going.
Yeah,
north,
but
south,
it always
northwest.
changes, so I don't pay attention to that anymore. So I never know which way I'm going. So whenever someone says go north on something, I'm like, half of that information was pointless. Am I supposed to be like a goose?
You're supposed to know where north is. Generally. You don't have to know exactly where due north is, but you're supposed to have a general idea.
I wouldn't survive on my own.
Yeah.
No.
You know what? Most people today are probably like you because you could just go and send a pin and be like, I'm here.
Yeah, right. I mean, who remembers phone numbers nowadays anyways? Mine hasn't changed for 20-something years, but
you know what's weird is, but as I'm helping Mom with more things, I'm remembering her phone number more now because it's just saved as Mom. Because for like 15 years, I didn't do really anything, but now I'm helping her with accounts now that Dad is gone, and coming back to me, I remembered my very first cell phone number.
Really?
Yeah.
One that you don't use anymore?
The one that was my family plan when I was a teenager.
We need to call it.
No, we don't. But I do remember the number now, and every time
I want to know who is Chris now.
Like this deep hidden memory core unlocked, and now every time I'm trying to remember Mom's number, I remember my old number, and I have to ask her for the last 4 digits, and it's just weird how memory works. That was completely off topic. So we celebrate a lot of family stuff. We've got some great things happening in the community. As we're officially in spring now, or as I like to call it, pollen season.
Can you believe the pollen lately?
Oh, I can feel the pollen
You
lately.
showed me a video of a pine tree being chopped down, felled is the proper term. And the whole thing hadn't been rained on for a very long time, and it just fell. And while it's falling, you can see the pollen trailing after it.
Yeah, the
and
big
then
old
it hits, and
cloud.
there's this giant, almost like mustard gas-looking bomb coming out, and it's just all pollen.
Yeah, that's
Welcome
Georgia.
to Georgia.
Yep. So as we're getting into the nicer weather, we're getting into festival season. And we have a lot coming up in April. So aside from all the Easter activities that we'll be getting to towards the end of the month, We've got the Acworth Arts Fest coming up, which will happen this weekend, April 5th through 6th. There's free admission, over 50 artisans, food trucks, kids zone, and more. Streets are going to close in downtown Acworth at 4 a.m. on Saturday through 9 p.m. on Sunday, so plan accordingly. There is a rideshare drop-off, which is at 4569 Dallas Street in Acworth. So if you're Ubering to the festival, that is where you're going to ask them to drop you off.
So let's see. Dallas Street. That is. Oh, that's not bad.
What?
Dallas Street. It's right off of it's near Center Street, South Main Street, and Lemon Street.
Oh yeah, it's just dropping you off on the backside.
Yeah, so Dallas Street actually goes right by Henry's Louisiana Grill and Center Street Tavern Grill, if you're familiar with the area. So really great parking area right there. You won't have any problems. And also, you're going to be near the Southern Museum there, I believe. Yeah. Good location. Good
It
job.
sure is. Well, that's coming up. And then the following weekend, Kennesaw is having their big Shanty Festival.
We've been there.
That is a huge one.
Yeah.
While downtown Acworth at the Acworth Arts Fest will have over 50 vendors, Big Shanty will have over 250 booths. They will have live music, food, and a beer garden. Always fun. We've actually volunteered at that beer garden before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we have. I mean,
serving beer.
I wasn't making pretzels, pretzel necklaces, but yeah.
Yeah. Serve it, by the way, if you're ever volunteering for one of these festivals, like the beer tent, that's the place to be, y'all. That's where all the fun and action happens.
Unless you don't drink.
Wow. I don't know what that's like. Also coming up next week, Cobb County schools on spring break. So if you haven't been paying attention, here's your reminder: your next week plans are not going to be.
They're back.
Yeah, you're going to be having them right back at home. Also, with the weather towards the end of this month, the concert series at Marietta Square, Glover Park starts. It's April 25th at 8 p.m. We're going to have the Bourbon Brothers, which is a tribute band to the Rat Pack. And that takes place 50 Park Square, Glover
Do you think
Park.
people know what the Rat Pack is now?
Well, I hope so. That's Sammy Davis and all those old. Who was in the Rat Pack? We gotta figure that out now.
Well, so this concert series, I really like this because you take your own stuff. Now, be careful if it rains because we've been there when it has, and those muddy places, they get pretty gross. So you want to take one of those, lined picnic basket.
You can get there early. You can throw your chairs out. It starts at 8. It's free, but that just means there's going to be a lot of people there. So Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., I knew. I didn't know Peter Lawford and Angie Dickinson.
There's a woman in there?
Yeah, I guess so.
Good.
Well, this was all before my time.
I love how Wikipedia says not to be confused with the Brat Pack. Or a Rat Pack.
Or the Frat Pack.
Yeah, or the Frat Pack.
The Frat Pack, that's like, isn't that like all the actors like...
I don't know. I've never heard of the Frat Pack. I've heard of the Brat Pack.
Well, we need to stick to actual events in our community. So we've got the concert series coming to Glover Park. We have Live at Logan Farm Park, which is going to happen in Acworth on April 26th from 5 to 10 p.m. The headliner there is the Weekend Getaway Band, and this is free admission. You
almost got me there. I thought the Weekend was going to be there. I'm sure the Weekend Getaway Band is just absolutely as fabulous as the Weekend.
Doesn't sound like the same type of music, though.
No.
When I think of Weekend Getaway.
Logan Farm Park is actually within walking distance of the Southern Museum.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's really not that far.
Well,
so
it's at 4405 Cherokee Street, and this is a fundraiser supporting art scholarships and education. Free admission is happening. Cobb Parks is having their Spring Arts Festival.
I might want to go to that one.
Well, that one is J.R. Miller Park in Marietta. That's over by County Services and Callaway, in between there. That is going to be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on April 26th. And here they're going to be having handmade goods, crafts, food vendors, and performances.
I hope they have art, too.
Yep. And Céline, why don't you tell us about the next couple of events that we have coming up, because it shifts gears from festivals to some other stuff.
I love both of these. Okay, so next is the Smyrna Jonquil Festival. And so the jonquil is the symbol of Smyrna, or the, what's the other name for it? Narcissus, I think, is the real name.
Go Gadget Google.
So this is on April 26th to 27th, 2025. It's on the Village Green, and I know that they've been doing a little bit of construction there, but it's just such a great gathering place, the Village Green. There are going to be 150 or more artisan booths, food vendors, and a massive kids zone, apparently. I like the Village Green because it's not isolated. If you don't like what's going on in the festival, if you'd rather have something else, you can walk to established restaurants. You can walk to shops around there as well. So you're not just confined to that one place. The other thing that's going on is the Root House plant sale in Marietta. This is Marietta Square area. And I love the Root House. It's Marietta's oldest house. And did you know it sits on a parking lot?
You've told me that.
Yeah.
I did. But it was weird to find out, because I'm like, oh, there's the Root House. And you're like, yeah, but it's on a parking lot. That's not where it originally was.
No. So they moved the Root House because it's a historic home. And it's one of those traditional historic homes, too. And when they moved it on top of a parking lot. But you wouldn't be able to tell because there's grass and everything around it. So they literally put the grass on top of the parking lot. But it's a really neat little place. They are having a plant sale. And I kind of like it because they tied into the root, right?
Yeah.
Name of it, even though it had nothing to do with roots or plants. Yeah. But they are staying true to their word. Historic plant varieties, botanical goods, and gardening tips galore. So I think that's really great marketing that they did. What do you think historic plants are?
Well, I mean, they're just going to be the ones that are native to Georgia, like before people were here, right?
Maybe, but you know that even our architecture, because, we're in real estate.
Yeah.
Our architecture denotes what kind of plants are in your home. Did you know that?
Wait, what?
Yeah. So
No, explain this.
Okay, so take, for example, the Victorian period.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of coal was used, and with coal, there's soot, right?
Yeah.
So everything gets a little dirty. It's kind of like living with a smoker, like a heavy smoker. Everything turns kind of yellowish.
Oh, I didn't think about this. Yeah.
Everything becomes a little sooty. And so that's why they favored darker colors, darker clothing, because it didn't show up as much. They didn't have OxyClean or anything like that we do.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So on top of that, there were only a few plants that can tolerate that kind of environment being inside with the sooty, think about living in a coal mine, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, I promise you.
No, but I mean, there are definitely some overlapping characteristics there.
Yeah. So these plants had to survive being in houses that burned coal. So one of them was this house plant that I cannot remember, but it was coal resistant. So that's why whenever you see these old photos of people posing with houseplants, it's going to be a certain variety.
Fascinating.
Yeah, because that's what was really popular and that's what survived.
Well,
so it might be a historic plant variety like that.
That's great to know. While we're on the topic of plants, maybe you'll be able to pick up some of these jonquils over at the root sale. We'll see if they have any. But the botanical name for both jonquils and daffodils is Narcissus. The jonquil specifically refers to the species Narcissus jonquilla, which is a type of daffodil with a strong fragrance and multiple flowers per stem. And yes, Smyrna is the jonquil city. So always has been. There's Jonquil Park, and this is just the flower of Smyrna. So if you're in the area, you know the name jonquil, and this is a little bit of information on it for you.
My first house was in Smyrna, and I left when I was 6, but I've got to admit, I did not like this flower when I was younger.
Really?
I remember seeing it on all of these Smyrna, welcome to the city of Smyrna signs and everything. It has a jonquil on
city, everywhere.
But for some reason, the artist didn't make me like the jonquil. It wasn't as attractive to me. And for some reason, I really created this aversion to it until I became older, and then I started appreciating it because I like flowers, but I really hate putting in the effort for them. So I like bulb flowers because you plant them once.
The lazy path to a pretty house.
Yeah, you plant them once, and then they come back every year. So you're like, yay, good job, right? Except for that one time, I took the shovel and I dug into the earth because it's just regular earth, right? And you know what came out? Oh my God, this giant hibernating toad.
Oh, I remember
shot pee at me because it was so surprised that I was digging it out, and I had no idea it was there. And then so pee's coming towards me. I'm trying to shovel, a hole, and he's trying to get away, but he's so sleepy because he just woke up from who knows how long, right? Being buried.
The toad.
Yeah. So it was a whole kerfuffle. I don't know how to say it. I think I just made up a word.
I think you did. So we got the root house plant sale. We also have the Marietta Gardeners Club Expo. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this, honey?
So I've never been to this one, but it's April 18th and 19th at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It is in the covered arena at Jim R. Miller Park, and they are also going to have plants, art, yard decor, and an Ask a Master Gardener booth. Now, I actually know a few Master Gardeners.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do, and they are passionate about plants.
I can imagine so.
And then Cobb County Job Fair. This seems more up your alley.
Yeah, so April 15th from 11 to 2, Cobb County is going to have their annual job fair. This is going to be at the Cobb County Civic Center in Marietta. This will give you the opportunity to meet with hiring employers from around the county. Dress to impress. There will be some on-site interviews given for different positions. So if you're in the market looking for a job, make sure that you put April 15th on your calendar. Go down there and see what you can see.
Now, so you don't have to wait for a job fair either. So if you're a veteran of the Armed Forces for America, you could go to the Vector Center, which is newly opened. That's at Chattahoochee Tech, and they are, can you look up the acronym Vector?
Yes.
I don't quite remember it, but they are wonderful. They are a satellite or a newly established location from the Warner Robins one, which is the main one in Georgia.
It stands for Veterans Education Center Career Transition Resource, or Veterans Education Career Transition Resource, Vector Center.
Wonderful.
So they provide educational opportunities. They help with career transitions for veterans coming out of the armed forces into civilian life. And then they also do good works for veterans in need. I know that they've helped people escaping domestic violence situations who are temporarily homeless to help them get vehicles and jobs and housing. And they work with several groups, like Connecting Cobb Veterans is one of them. They have somebody usually on site in the Vector Center that is there to help connect people in need with lots of different organizations that are all there to support and provide different resources.
Mm-hmm. We've met with them, quite a few times, and we were, educating them about our VA loans. Mm-hmm. We're not loan officers, but we do work with VA loans, and those are for veterans coming back, and I believe that was established right after World War II, right?
I don't know the history, but the original Vector Center was in Warner Robins, and it's been there for a while. But the need was so great that they needed one on the north side. So Chattahoochee Tech, they worked to bring this, and there's a new building. I want to say it opened about 2 or 3 years ago at this point, and they're serving the community. They're doing great work. And yes, we love to volunteer, and financial education and basic financial literacy training is something that I have taught as a volunteer since college.
Yes.
It's, when I was in UGA, I ran the Pure Financial Counseling group there. Now we've just recently started the Faith and Finance Ministry at my church, and we're still doing this. So when we worked with the Vector Center, we gave those resources. If they have anybody who needs, coaching, small group coaching on basic financial literacy, that's something that we step in and help with when we can. But just great people doing great work in our community. That's what we're always behind, and just sharing their stories so that you know what's happening and who's doing great work where you live. That's great insight for our veterans watching. We'll have to make sure that we put a link to the Vector Center in our show notes. So that's what's going on around the community. We've got a lot of festivals. There's going to be more events that we'll cover next week. And as we get closer to Easter and in May, can you believe we're already through Q1? So let's go ahead and talk some preliminary real estate numbers so that you kind of have an idea of how March finished out. We don't have the reports on the website yet because today is April 1st, and these are preliminary numbers. So once the MLS finalizes them, we'll get our reports, and we'll take those reports and put them into our articles based around the different parts of Cobb County. So generally, and this is why they're preliminary, real estate closing paperwork from yesterday is still trickling its way into real estate offices. So it's going to take a couple of weeks before we get everything done. But there's a couple of things that you need to know about in where we stand today versus this time last year. And one is that our median sales price is currently flat year over year, but we're at $400,000 right now. And in 2022, we hit $400,000 for our seasonal high in May. June is where we usually hit that seasonal high. So we're going to expect this number to continue trickling upwards beyond 400,000 until we get to May, June, and then we'll start seeing that slowly dive off for the year. But generally, the sales price is flat year over year. Now, this is all of Metro Atlanta. The pockets are going to be different. If you're in an area where there's 12 homes just like yours for sale, obviously prices are going to be condensed and you're going to have downward pressure. If you're in an area where you're the only home for sale, you've got everything a buyer needs, there's going to be a bidding war. So there's a spectrum here that we want to make sure that we're keeping in mind when we talk about numbers and data. But when it comes to new listings, we are up 12.9% year over year. We have 11,554 new listings in the month of March. That's a big increase. The last time we had that many new listings, I want to say we saw that in 2016 and we saw that in 2009. So, for those who have been waiting for inventory to rise, our inventory levels, we are at a 4.4 month supply, and the inventory levels are where we were back then. So we have homes to choose from. So if you've been on the sideline, you're saying, well, I'm waiting for homes to choose from. Surprise, here they are. What happened when you waited? Things got more expensive, as time generally works in real estate. There's an old saying, the best time to buy real estate was 20 years ago. The second best time is today, with a caveat, as long as the payment is comfortable. So total number of homes for sale, we have 25,564 right now for the FMLS. That's a 54% increase year over year. Pending sales, down 25% year over year. We only have 5,347 homes under contract right now in pending status. So what this means is we're getting homes on the market. So sellers are bringing their homes to market. There are things to choose from as a buyer, But buyers aren't quite there yet. The homes aren't going under contract. So that's why we're seeing our month supply tick up. And that's why our month supply of 4.4 months is a 63% increase year over year. That's huge. And by the way, above 4 months, we're in a buyer's market, y'all. Sellers don't realize this in a lot of areas, but we are in a buyer's market. So if you've been waiting, yeah, prices stink. Yeah, the payment stinks. But get yourself a good agent who's going to help you negotiate, and you are going to have more leverage today to negotiate concessions from the seller. Well, I don't want to pay a buyer's real estate commission. There's still ways to make sure that you're not coming out of pocket to pay your agent's commission. Like the industry has made changes, but it's not insane. So just talk to a professional. If you need one,
I think we do need to talk about one industry change, and that's going to be on the FHA loans.
Great. We'll get through the rest of this data. And
there's more?
Oh, yeah. There's plenty more. So pending sales down 25%. Our closed sales are following this. So about 25%. We're down 24.3. We closed 4,844 homes in the month of March. Our median days on the market are 25 days right now, which is up 47%. Our sold volume is down 24.1%. We sold $2.39 billion worth of real estate in the month of March. That is 25% less than we sold last year. Keep in mind, last year, also a challenging market. And then the median percent list price to original list price right now is hovering just over 97%. So people are giving more concessions. So if you're a buyer, put in an offer, ask for your closing costs to be covered, ask for your agent to get your full cost.
99.6%.
That is of the current list price. The original list price was 97.4. So people are putting their property on the market. It's not moving. They're dropping it about 3%, and then it is going under contract. So people are targeting prices higher on average than what their house is worth, and sellers are giving concessions to make the deal happen. Keep in mind, this is only happening on about 25% of the properties that are on the market. That means 75% of sellers are sitting there not making concessions, and their properties are sitting longer and longer and longer.
I've actually seen seller financing.
I'm starting to see some of that too. Yeah. It just, if you're interested in doing that, call us. There's risks that you need to discuss with a professional before you do seller financing. If you have a mortgage, there's a due on sale clause for your mortgage. That's an issue. Okay, so the takeaways here are that inventory is rising, demand is softening, and homes are taking longer to sell. Buyers have more options, and pricing strategies need to adjust accordingly. So for sellers, they need to stay competitive and be prepared for longer market times.
What comes to mind here is chasing the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great scenario for people to be constantly chasing the bottom. And you might want to explain that for people who don't understand what that is.
So this is something that I learned very early in my career when we're in the middle of the global financial crisis, right? Real estate prices were trending downward. And what we would do is, we would start with a sales price. We'd run our comps, and then we'd list the property, but by the time the property got to market, we're active with other people, but the selling properties are maybe $15,000 to $20,000 less than where we were priced. So then we would make an adjustment. We would go down $10,000 to $15,000, and then by that time, the selling properties that were closing were going another $15,000 to $20,000 below where our price was. So we were constantly making price reductions, but we were still higher than where the market allowed. So this is called chasing the bottom. So when we price a house, we want that price to be close. We want today's listing price to be close to today's selling price. We can have a margin in there for obviously some concessions, and we could always kind of shoot for the moon a little bit, but we want to make sure that we're in that general area where buyers are going to be buying. Otherwise, it costs us a lot more over the long term because we're losing time in paying that mortgage every month, in not selling the house, and then we're losing money in making more reductions than we otherwise would have to. Some real estate is very much a game of ripping the Band-Aid off. When you take the property to market, get the property sold, because the longer that property sits active, it can become a stigmatized property, which is just one where buyers look at it and they're like, it's been on the market for 370 days. What's wrong with it?
So chasing the bottom in this period of time versus the global financial crisis of 08, 09, that area. Or that era, I want to say. It's huge, because you said that the median sales price is $400. It's flat year over year. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we're seeing that dramatic decrease that we did in 08, 09.
It's not as dramatic, no.
Right.
But there is a decrease here. So in a lot of the slowdown is in the appreciation. So from 2015 to 2019, a lot of us got in the habit of just, you buy a house and in 2 years your appreciation has gone so high that now you can afford to resell it and walk away with a profit. And historically, when you own real estate, the costs are there are barriers to entry. And those costs are your commissions, your taxes, your down payment, and you have to let that equity rise, the market appreciation. Your price has to go from, well, we bought at $350, now it's worth $400. It has to rise enough to absorb those costs and then increase further, so that you're getting your equity out, you're paying for the cost, and you're taking a profit.
That was only a few years. I mean,
yeah,
it's not going to come back.
Historically, it takes about 5 years before, when you buy a house, it should take about 5 years before that appreciation has grown enough that you're able to absorb all those costs and walk away either break even or with a slight profit. So, when I was starting out, the real estate mantra was, if you're going to live in the house for less than 5 years, don't buy the house, rent the house. And, we don't believe in that. We buy the house, but then we never sell the house.
I wonder why. We have written an entire book about renting.
Yeah, and my good friend Rick Guerrero, he ended up making a post yesterday talking about, hey, a quick shortcut to becoming a millionaire: buy a house, live in the house, rent the house. And that's what we did. I made a comment on there because his plan was do this every 2 years, and in 10 years you've got a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Well, if you, in today's market, you need to adjust your timeline, because the appreciation's not going to happen. So plan on every 4 to 6 years being able to do that, because rents have to come up, and we're in downward pressure on rents right now. We're in downward pressure on purchase prices. All of this is because of interest rates, risk, volatility, and uncertainty in the economy. So you had something to mention. There are some changes happening to FHA. Yours is right here.
So I got an email notifying us about FHA loan changes, with everything being kind of tossed around in our country.
Yes.
Effective May 25th, 2025, FHA will no longer allow non-permanent resident aliens to qualify for FHA financing. Eligible borrowers, so the ones not eligible, are non-permanent resident aliens. The ones still eligible are U.S. citizens.
And permanent residents, right?
I'm about to sneeze because of this pollen. Hold on.
So if you have a green card, or if you're a citizen, cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. So if you have a green card, or you're a permanent resident, or you are a U.S. citizen, FHA still for you, government-backed loans. But if you are here on a visa, you are not a permanent citizen, then FHA eligibility, that benefit is no longer available.
There is also one other group.
What's that?
That gets to do FHA financing. It's quiz time. What do you think?
I mean, no, I don't know.
Citizens of where?
Oh, U.S. territories. Guam.
Micronesia.
Yeah.
So the Federated States of Micronesia, the Republic of the Marshall Islands.
I did read about that.
Or the Republic of Palau. You can get FHA financing. Did you know that?
I did not. But I don't know anything about any of those three places because I've never been.
So there's also something that is ending, and that is the $7,000 grant program that we had for the conventional loans. that is also coming to an end. I do believe that the deadline to secure a contract for this conventional loan, $7,000 grant, is over. I think that was yesterday. So that's off the table. I'm sorry.
There are other programs.
There are.
FHA, they have the $7,000 grant program. I don't know that it was heavily used because
it was heavily advertised.
Yeah, FHA, when you're doing FHA financing, it is very, very good if your credit score is sub 700 because you're getting a better rate, but FHA charges you a mortgage insurance premium regardless of your down payment. If you do a 3.5% down payment FHA, that's great because it's one of the lowest cash out-of-pocket ways to buy a house. But that mortgage insurance premium is a fee that you're paying every month, and you pay that fee for having less than 20% down in a mortgage. It's a risk insurance. So if something happens, the lender has an insurance policy that covers that 20% difference. So if they have expenses, by the time they foreclose and sell the house, they're made whole. Now, if you have an FHA loan, you can actually put 20% down on an FHA loan. And the rates on FHA are much better than they are in conventional right now. I think last time we had Rob on, he said it was 5.75, but you still pay the mortgage insurance premium. FHA charges that regardless of your down payment for 11 years. You have to refinance out of it. So there are other programs out there where a lender can either increase your points and give you cash, or you can go through Georgia Dream has a down payment assistance program. Cobb County has a down payment assistance program. Georgia Dream now has one for first-time homebuyers and non-first-time homebuyers. Gwinnett has their own program. So there are opportunities out there based at the local and state level where you can still get grant funds to help buy a house. And I don't know if Atlanta is still doing the large amount, but theirs was $25,000 if you're buying in the city of Atlanta up to a $350,000 house.
A lot's changing. So,
yeah.
To summarize it all, $7,000 grant is going away for conventional. FHA rules are changing. And then there's also something else that we learned recently.
What's that?
You can buy a second home or your second purchase, not your first time purchase, with an FHA.
Really?
Yeah, I have one going on right now.
That's good to know.
Yeah, they are going from one property to another, and they're buying with second FHA. So I'm always learning.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
And I think we all learn hard lessons in hard times, and this is definitely a transitional economy. So if you have questions about real estate, if you have questions about anything in the community, we are happy to answer them. You can find us directly at selectrealty.com. That's SELLECT realty.com, because we sell, not spell. And every time you laugh at that, so I'm going to keep doing it until you stop laughing.
And Rob Doer for anything financial related for mortgages.
Yes. So Rob is a great resource. We have his information on the website. If you are looking to take a property to market and you don't want to pay the full service commission, you want to do some legwork yourself, check out Simply List Atlanta. It's simplylistatlanta.com. It's one of our companies that we own. They do a great job. Céline heads that entire division of helping sellers sell their property either by owner or with assistance by giving maximum exposure. You get on FMLS, you get on Georgia MLS. We give you nationwide exposure. Every real estate broker, you get onto their website through IDX. We cover statewide with Georgia MLS and the metro area with FMLS. Great options there, and you can do it by yourself without support, or you can have Céline help you with the contract negotiation, but the marketing and getting everything into the office, that's all on up to the owner. So some good options there. We hope that the content we're putting out is still up to your par and you're enjoying this. Give us your comments, your feedback, share, and subscribe if you get a chance to watch us on YouTube, or just listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. I'm Chris Evans, and it's been great having you. We'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.